Okay, so let's get right into it. When you hear the name Meta, you're probably thinking Instagram, maybe WhatsApp, or even the Quest headset, right? But their latest announcement, and honestly, it might be their biggest one yet, has absolutely nothing to do with a new app. Nope, they're going nuclear. Yeah, that, nuclear. So today, we're going to break down exactly why the company that runs your social feed is making one of the largest corporate investments in nuclear power in American history. And it all really boils down to this one simple question. We are all living through this incredible AI revolution, from chatbots to generating images out of thin air. But what's the actual physical cost of building that future? It's a question that really forces you to look past the code on the screen and think about the concrete, the steel, and the power lines that make it all possible. And the answer is pretty straightforward. It's electricity. And I mean a staggering amount of it. Every single time you use an AI tool, you're plugging into some massive, power-hungry data center somewhere on the planet. Building what Meta calls personal superintelligence for everyone, well, that's going to require an energy footprint unlike anything we have ever seen before. So just how insatiable is this appetite for energy? Well, this is where the story really gets going. That big dream of transformative AI is built on a very, very real foundation of steel, concrete, and an almost unbelievable amount of electricity. These data centers, they're basically the engines of innovation. We're talking about massive facilities, like Meta's Prometheus supercluster out in Ohio. These places provide the raw computing horsepower to train and run these advanced AI models. But keeping these enormous digital brains running 24/7, that takes a very, very specific kind of energy. And that special kind of energy has a name: firm power. Now, the key here isn't just that it's clean, it's that it has to be constant. AI doesn't stop working when the sun goes down or when the wind stops blowing. It needs a power source that is always, always on. And that's precisely why things like solar and wind on their own just can't meet this specific round-the-clock demand. Okay, so if you need massive amounts of clean, constant, 24/7 power, where do you turn? Well, for Meta, the answer is crystal clear. It's time for a huge, strategic investment in nuclear energy. So let's take a look at how they're pulling this off. Now, this isn't just one deal. It's a really clever multi-part strategy with companies like Vistra, TerraPower, and Oklo. And what's really smart here is that they're playing both the short game and the long game. They are securing the power they need right now from existing plants, while at the same time funding the new technology that's going to power them for decades to come. And they are not exaggerating here. This quote from Meta's own announcement really just puts the scale of all this into perspective. This is a true landmark moment, not just for Meta, but for the entire tech industry's relationship with energy. So, how are they actually making this happen? Well, their strategy is basically a two-pronged attack. Get the most out of what we already have while building what we're all going to need for tomorrow. All right, first up is the existing infrastructure. America has a whole fleet of nuclear power plants, and Meta's first move is to make sure these clean energy workhorses can keep running and even start producing more power than they did before. Through this massive 20-year deal with a company called Vistra, Meta is locking in over 2.1 gigawatts of power, and this deal perfectly shows their strategy. See, they're not just buying power, they're actually funding what are called upgrades. These are upgrades that will squeeze out an extra 433 megawatts from these plants. And get this, it's the largest expansion like this ever backed by a corporate customer in the US. As Vistra's CEO points out here, it's a total win-win situation. Meta gets the clean, firm power it so desperately needs, and these vital power plants get the investment they need to extend their lifespans. This protects jobs and provides stable power for everybody else on the grid. But hey, maximizing the old tech? That's only half the battle. The other half is all about inventing the new stuff. And that's where Meta is making another huge bet. This time on the future of nuclear energy, advanced reactors. And what's really cool is they're backing two very different approaches. You've got TerraPower, which is developing these massive, powerful new reactors that, get this, even come with their own energy storage. Then there's Oklo, which is focused on building whole campuses of smaller, faster-to-deploy reactors right there in Ohio. It's a classic diversification strategy, right? You make one big, long-term bet and one faster, more nimble. The CEO of TerraPower just nails the urgency here. This isn't some nice-to-have project for the distant future. He's saying that to power the next decade of technological growth, we must be deploying gigawatts of this new technology. And an investment from a company like Meta? That gives them the business certainty they need to actually make it happen. So what does all of this add up to? I mean, when you put all the pieces together,
the existing plants getting upgraded, and the next-gen tech on the horizon, the scale of this whole thing is truly nation-building.
Just let this number sink in for a second. 6.6 gigawatts. That's the total potential clean energy capacity Meta's projects will support by 2035. That is a colossal amount of power. I mean, it's enough to power millions of homes, or in this case, the entire future of artificial intelligence. And the ripple effects here go far, far beyond Meta's data centers. We're talking about thousands of high-skilled jobs. We're talking about a more stable and reliable electric grid for everyone, which means fewer blackouts and more predictable energy costs. It's a massive boost to America's nuclear supply chain. Really, this is all about securing the infrastructure the country needs to stay a global leader in AI. You know, this quote from Meta's Joel Kaplan, it just perfectly summarizes the whole thing. It's about powering AI, yes, but it's also about strengthening the entire country's energy foundation and providing clean power for all of us. It's that connection between our digital future and our physical infrastructure. And that leaves us with one final fascinating question. As the energy demands of AI continue to just skyrocket, are we witnessing the beginning of a major shift? A future where the internet, our AI assistants, and our entire digital world are all powered by the atom? It's a pretty profound thought, and Meta just placed a multi-billion-dollar bet that the answer to that question is yes.